It started with a whisper. On the eastern ridge of the Valles Marineris, the largest canyon system on Mars, a low, rhythmic pulse echoed through the red dust so faint it barely registered on the rover's seismic sensors. But it was there, constant, patient, waiting. Earth hadn't sent a manned mission to Mars since the collapse of the Artemis Protocol 20 years ago. Budget cuts, political shifts, and the mysterious loss of the last crew in 2083 had rendered Mars a graveyard of abandoned machines and broken dreams. Only a skeleton team of Amamanchich satellites and one dusty observatory at Station Theta 9 remained operational, orbiting Mars on a lonely loop. But something changed on Sol 71 of Martian Year 41. At 3:16 Martian time, the satellite Odysseus relay detected a pattern, a sequence of repeating symbols encoded in electromagnetic frequency that hadn't been used since Earth's early SETI experiments. It wasn't a natural pulse. It was language, a message. The signal was traced back to a location near Olympus Mons, inside a collapsed lava tube never explored by humans. Within minutes, Theta 9's artificial intelligence, codename Vega, rerouted an ancient explorer drone, RI-12, rusted but barely functional, to investigate. What it found wasn't a cave. It was a chamber. Carved into the basalt walls were glyphs of symbols resembling no known Martian rock formation, glowing faintly with bioluminescence. And in the center, lying perfectly still on a bed of oxidized iron, was a figure, humanoid, but not human. He had skin like molten obsidian, ribbed with silver veins that pulsed in sync with the signal. His eyes, closed but flickering beneath the lids, gave off a low blue glow. Raw-12 sensors scanned his form, no signs of decomposition, no decay, no signs of recent activity. Yet the pulse was undeniably coming from him. VG ran every analysis it could. The symbols, not mathematical, not musical, but reminiscent of Proto-Sumerian cuneiform, DNA scans. Inconclusive strands resembled Earth-based helixes, but were twisted, advanced, layered with unknown structures. It was as if he had been made from Earth, but perfected. And then, at 3:44, he opened his eyes. The drone's camera caught the moment. The figure looked directly at it, unblinking. And then he spoke not in sound, but in thought. A burst of directed frequency pierced the relay network and appeared on Theta 9's main screen in a single haunting sentence. Why did you forget us? Back on Earth, the team at Deep Echo Command received the signal 32 minutes later. Silence followed. No one moved. No one blinked. Dr. Mara Elwood, once the youngest ex-linguist to head the Martian project before it shut down, was called out of retirement. She stared at the glyphs, trembling. Not because she didn't understand them, but because she did. They weren't Martian. They were hers. Years ago, she had written those symbols in a theoretical paper hypothesizing a universal language that could survive deep time, mathematical poetry designed to be timeless. She had buried that theory, mocked by peers. And yet now, across 140 million miles, a being no one could explain had sent her own language back to her. But how? The question ignited a frenzy. A covert mission was approved within hours. Earth's last long-range vessel, the Erebus Ascendant, would be revived from dry dock. A small crew would be sent to Mars, not to study rocks or weather, but to meet the Martian who remembered. And while governments debated and scientists scrambled, the being in the cave sat silently, watching the old rover twitch and stumble. He remembered Earth, but Earth had forgotten him. The Erebus Ascendant cut through the silence of space like a blade. A relic of a more ambitious era, she had been refitted for one final mission crew of 5, no return planned. This wasn't exploration. This was confrontation. Dr. Mara Elwood sat in the observation deck as Mars grew larger in the viewport, her fingers tracing the glyphs she'd once drafted on paper no one bothered to cite. Those symbols had been a dream, a fiction, and now they were being used by someone who shouldn't exist. Captain Jalen Rhodes, a former combat pilot turned astronaut, had read the mission brief twice and still didn't believe half of it. The crew said little. The silence was a coping mechanism. No one wanted to admit they were flying toward an entity that had spoken telepathically through machines in a language born from an unpublished theory. On Sol 93, they landed near the coordinates of the lava tube. The entrance was wide, ancient, chiseled not by nature but by intent. The dust seemed disturbed, as though something had moved recently, though satellite images showed no atmospheric shift. The deeper they went, the colder it became. And then the pulse returned. It wasn't a sound, not exactly. It was a pressure inside the mind, soft, rhythmic, like a heartbeat echoing in reverse. They followed it, deeper, until the walls began to glow. The same glyphs, the same light, in the center of the chamber. He was waiting. He sat upright now, the same obsidian skin, the same glowing veins. His eyes opened slowly, and when they did, the room filled with warmth. Not heat, memory, images flashed in their minds. A city of crystal towers bathed in amber light, oceans of glass beneath twin moons, children with eyes of fire running through fields that shimmered, and then flames. Collapse, silence. The Martian did not speak with a voice. He simply let them feel. You left us. You seeded the stars and forgot where you came from. Mara stepped forward, knees trembling. Who are you? I am the last of the ones you call myths. We came before your history. We are your beginning. He wasn't Martian. He was Earth's ancestor. He explained without words, only emotion. Eons ago, before recorded time, a civilization had fled Earth during a cataclysm no record survived. They came to Mars, younger than greener, teeming with possibility. They built a home. They evolved. But Mars died. Its core cooled, its air thinned. Their technology could not outlast the planet's decay. Most perished. A few entered stasis, waiting for Earth's children to find them again. But Earth forgot. Their myths were buried in ice and language. Floods erased what was left. Fire and war reset the story, and so he slept. Mara fell to her knees, tears streaming. We didn't know, she whispered. We didn't mean to forget. You were never meant to remember with facts, only with feeling. The crew watched in silence as the Martian stood. He towered over them, not with menace, but with sorrow. His form was deteriorating. The stasis that had preserved him was failing. He had awakened too soon, and yet he had one final message. The past does not ask to be worshipped, only understood. You must not make our mistake. He raised a hand to Mara's temple. For a second, her mind was filled with visions, mathematical structures, more beautiful than music, languages that danced, architectures that grew like trees. And a warning, when memory is replaced by pride, extinction follows. His glow began to fade. Captain Rhodes reached for his comb. We need to extract him if we can move him. But the Martian turned to him, peaceful. This body cannot leave, but the story can. With one final pulse of light, he collapsed, dust swirling into the air like ancient breath. In his place, a stone remained, smooth, warm, etched with glyphs no one would ever again call fictional. They had come to meet an alien, but they had found their origin. They left the chamber in silence. No one spoke as the team climbed back through the ancient tunnel, the Martian wind whispering through cracks in the rock. Behind them, the glow of the glyphs slowly dimmed. The pulse was gone. He was gone. But something had changed in all of them. Dr. Mara Elwood held the smooth stone to her chest like it might vanish if she blinked. It vibrated faintly, not with power, but with memory. Inside its surface, she felt not just language, but rhythm like a heartbeat from another time. It wasn't a tool. It wasn't a relic, it was a seed. Back aboard the Airbus Ascendant, data logs scrambled to make sense of what the crew had seen. No one could explain the transmission. No video survived the moment of collapse. It was as if the chamber had blocked technology at the exact second the Martian died. Only the glyph-covered stone had come back, resting in a temperature-controlled vault beside the cockpit. They began their return orbit with heavy hearts and heavier minds. Back on Earth, Deep Echo Command had waited restlessly. When the transmission came through a single line of speechless data, followed by the crew's final report, panic met awe. The official word was caution, non-terrestrial anomaly detected, mission pending debrief. But governments don't like mysteries they can't control. Within a week of re-entry, the crew was split apart, confined to separate debriefing zones. Captain Rhodes was flown to a secure military facility in Alaska. 2 engineers were sent to classified bioresearch units in Geneva. Mara, under special order, was isolated at a private observatory in Patagonia. They called it quarantine. What it really was containment, but the stone wouldn't stay quiet. Mara knew the danger. She felt it the moment they tried to take it from her. The pulse had returned not in the room, but in her veins. The glyphs had begun to shift subtly, like something alive, rewriting themselves in her dreams. She realized something terrifying and beautiful. It wasn't just a seed of knowledge. It was an echo of thought, a dormant mind waiting for someone capable of listening, and she had been chosen. Each night she dreamt in glyphs. Structures unfolded in her sleep cities, suspended in gravity, languages sung like symphonies, warnings etched into wind. Her scribbles became maps, her maps became blueprints. The Martian was not speaking anymore. He was remembering through her. But not everyone saw this as enlightenment. One morning, a man in a gray coat knocked at her glass observatory door. He didn't show a badge. He didn't offer his name. Only his orders. "You're done here, Dr. Elwood. The object is no longer yours." Mara smiled faintly. "It never was, but it remembers me." She turned to the vault. It was empty. The stone had vanished. Later that night, the sky over Patagonia lit up in a shimmer of red, as if Mars had blinked through Earth's atmosphere for a moment too long. A satellite dish melted. The local magnetic field surged. And then silence again. What exactly happened in that moment, no agency has fully admitted, but whispers broke through. An encrypted packet appeared on the dark scientific net. It contained pages of glyphs fluid, glowing, a message. Memory must move forward, not freeze in vaults. 3 weeks later, a radio telescope in Chile received a new signal, same pulse, different origin. Not from Mars, from Ganymede, then Europa, then deep space. It was as if the pulse had been passed like a torch, lighting something buried across the stars. The Martian was gone, but his kind may not have been. And Mara? She was never seen again. Some say she joined a breakaway scientific faction. Others believe she vanished through a gateway. None of us could see one the stone had taught her to open. But in one dusty drawer at the old Data 9 station, an unfinished sentence remains etched on the wall. "We are not the children of Earth." And next to it, a glyph simple, silent, and pulsing. Waiting to be remembered.